Good morning, beautiful people of the Center for Spiritual Living. You know, they say there is nothing worse than an ex-smoker to get in your face about smoking, right? No? It's similarly with newly converted citizens of the United States. You know, I'm a new citizen, and, I love it. So that's why I insisted, even though it's several days after the 4th of July, I said, I want a flag. I want to sing America the Beautiful. Because I love America. Sure, I know there are plenty of things we could correct and improve about our country, but I don't think people really understand what liberty, freedom of expression, and religious freedom means until you live somewhere else. And I've lived other places. And I'll choose America over and over and over again. I love being an American and being free to express myself. And to argue. Our theme, as you heard, is service as a spiritual practice. And we're beginning, clearly because it's close to Independence Day, with service to your country. And you know the way of things, the universe always conspires for our greater good, that's what we say, in the form of Time magazine this time, which put out an edition on the front page, How Service Can Save Us. How timely. And and it's talking about the power of pitching in, which brings to mind how many people pitch in over here at the Center for Spiritual Living. It takes a lot of volunteer power to make this place run. We were adding it up. Hundreds of people. In fact, we've got a couple of events coming up in this month that relates to service, and you can find information about them in the spiritual resource book for this month, which is Practicing Service as a Spiritual Practice, or in our announcement pages, or on our website. But what's coming up is our Ministry of Service Recognition. And it says inside of here, if you've volunteered in the past 12 months, you're going to receive an invitation to come to something splendid. It says right here, and it is splendid. I know what it is, and it's splendid. So check your email, make sure it doesn't fall in the spam filter, because you're going to be invited. If you volunteered, you're going to be invited to something splendid. And also on July 27th, we're offering a free, it's Reverend Joyce DeFalla and I, a free workshop on the concept of seva, which is sacred service. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a while. That's from 10 o'clock to noon. It's free to anybody who wants to learn a little bit more about that journey that is between doing a task and being the presence that is doing the task. There's a journey between that. So we're offering that free workshop. Anyway, back to the article in Time magazine. It's all about how community service is apparently helping to literally save the lives of our combat veterans who've been scarred by their experiences and are coming back to our country and losing themselves in a number of different ways. And the article says also how it can possibly, community service, also help save our country. From what? Well, from loss of vision, loss of pride, loss of connection, loss of hope, loss of caring, from that, because that's rampant. You heard also our president talk about our founder, Ernest Holmes, who wrote the book, The Science of Mind and Spirit. So I went to it to look up to see what he said about service, to see if he said anything at all about it. And right there he says, service is the keynote to success. Now, in music, the keynote is the first note of the scale, the one upon which everything rests, that sets the tonality for the whole composition, to which everything must return, that everything gravitates around. And also a keynote address in a convention is the speaker who sets the tone for everything. So our founder said success rests firmly on service for service's sake. It's the underlying element that makes it all work. Now, public service apparently for these veterans is turning out to be very therapeutic for them. It's helping returning troops reconnect with a sense of purpose and meaning. And one of the veterans, an Army veteran, I think his name was Clark, said that it's just the very act of helping others that is so healing. Not only for the ones receiving it, but also for the ones giving it. And I have been on both sides of helping, haven't you? I've received it, and I've given it. And I was thinking about it as I was preparing these notes of all the times when I've been helped and what that felt like. How beautiful it can be. I was remembering a time when I got myself into a whole bunch of trouble, and I called up a colleague to say what was on my mind. And I was so worried about being judged, and I didn't know how to express myself, and he just listened. But then he called me every day for 2 months. Every day. I'll never forget that. And just listened. He never imposed advice or, the pop psychology of New Thought. No. Ooh, what did he say? It's an in-joke. He just listened. I was remembering another time, I was running all by myself up in Howarth Park, and it was a particularly busy day, and there were people all around, and I was running, feeling all good about myself, and I tripped, and I fell flat down on my face, and as I went down and hit my face, I heard people snickering. You know how it is. What's there to be embarrassed about? But you get embarrassed anyway. You feel your childhood rushing forward. My face was flushed, and I could feel the tears come up in my eyes. And I thought, how am I going to get through this? The last thing I want to do is be hurting and crying in front of people snickering. Right? And this big guy, I mean a big guy, like the guys who used to beat me up in school big. Big guy. He comes over to me, and he picked me up. He stood me up, and standing face to face with his back to the people, he said, "Be brave." I'll never forget that masked man, It meant so much. And I remember a time once I was sitting on an international flight flying back to the United States, and I was sitting alone, and there was just 2 seats where I was right at the back of the plane. And fairly close by, there was this big man. He was an African Muslim. And he was big, and he came and he sat next to me. And I could feel myself projecting all of my stuff onto who he might be, right? As much as I don't want to admit it, I had my projections. And he said in his best broken French, I'll never get in because I can't fill out these forms, and I can only write in Arabic. And in my best high school French, we figured it out, and I sat there and I helped him, and we worked it out, and he was so grateful. And I remember when we got to the other side in the United States, he came to me with his family, and his family said to me, "You helped our child." And it reminded me of that saying, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. They, you and me, will forgive us all kinds of stuff in the presence of true, genuine caring. You just tell me if I'm lying. So public service, it turns out, for these veterans is very, very therapeutic. The article says that some of them, when they return, they're not even aware that they've got a problem at all until it starts showing up in self-defeating habits like drinking too much, putting on weight, isolating, relationships dissolving, disintegrating. What you know, whether you're a veteran or anybody, are certain signs that something's out of place. So there's this organization called The Mission Continues that is helping returning veterans reconnect through service projects. Reconnect to their hearts, to their sense of worth, to their practice of self-care, to their vision, to meaning in their life by giving them opportunities to do things like cleaning up neighborhoods, preparing homes for homeless children, painting, building houses for other veterans that are really seriously damaged, by teaching from their skill set, by farming, by even going to other countries and participating in disaster relief efforts. And it's doing wonderful things for them. There's the story of one returning veteran named Ian, who's now 30, but at the time he came back from Iraq, he didn't admit, or maybe he didn't know he had a problem. But it started to show up in him living always on his couch, sleeping with his pistol under his pillow, not being able to get to sleep until he drank himself to sleep, losing his girlfriend, and finally starting to think for the first time in his life about suicide. Didn't think he had a problem, though. And then a friend of his, Mike, spotted it, noticed it, and reached out to him and invited him to attend with him this place called The Mission Continues. And at first, Ian thought, it sounds like a cult. I don't want to get involved in one of those things. But he did. Having nothing else to do, he went and tried it anyway. And he found himself involved in this project, which was painting the interior of a house for disabled homeless children, along with other veterans. And in the process of doing this very simple act, he started to notice, I'm feeling better. You know, sometimes when I'm sad and depressed and disconnected, the last thing in the world I feel like doing is helping somebody else. And yet, every time I do, I feel better. You know, when I feel sad and disconnected and lost, the last thing in the world I feel like doing is any kind of spiritual practice at all. And yet, every time I do, I feel better. That night, when Ian got home, he noticed that for the first time in many, many months, he slept without having to drink himself to sleep. In his words, I was blown away by how much better I felt. Man, he recalls, if I could just capture a little bit of that and hold it close to my heart, I think I could do all right. Things, I think, could get better. It's a well-known fact that exercise, physical exercise, is a perfect antidote for depression. But just try and get up if you're depressed. Of course, we know. See, there's a key element in all of this story. What might it be? What is it? His friend, Mike. That's the key element. His friend, he reached out. He reached through the fog of lostness and he didn't let go. He extended the hand of help until Ian reached back. That's the key. How can we serve? How can we serve people who've served this country? How can we serve anybody? Don't let go. Don't let go of each other. You know, it's frightening when somebody's depressed, suicidal, sick, lost, mourning. Don't let go. I mean, think about friends and family members and children and neighbors and around you. Sometimes they don't even know how to ask. Sometimes they don't even know that they need an ask. Now, you and I don't think we can tend to all of the suffering in the world. And I'm not suggesting that we have to. It would be overwhelming. I don't think we would be able to stay afloat. I'm just saying that maybe I can just do a little bit of what is mine to do, to not pretend that I don't know, so that I don't ever stop caring. Ian got involved with The Mission Continues, and things did get better just as he had hoped. He lost 60 pounds that he had found on that couch. He stopped drinking as much, and finally he became part of the staff of The Mission Continues. And not only that, he got summoned to the White House to be part of First Lady Obama's, one of her projects. I forget which one it is. Things got better. The article says that by the end of this year, they estimate something like 800 veterans will have gone through the program. It's not clear this early on whether or not public service is making a real lasting effect on post-traumatic syndrome disorder, but it's looking good. Interesting thing about the founder of the organization, Eric Greitens, I think is his name. He's got very little tolerance for veterans who see themselves as victims, which is startling, because I think we might sometimes, I don't know about you, but me, sometimes instinctively want to make extra accommodations out of empathy for everything that the person has gone through, but not so in this organization. Low tolerance, no excuses for tardiness, poor performance, bad behavior in the world. He treats them like equals. And therein is the second key. Number one, don't let go. Don't stop caring. And number two, don't feel sorry for the people you save. Or let me say that in the affirmative. Treat the people you serve like equals. Let yourself be motivated by your sense of oneness and not by your pity. That's the heart of our teaching at the center. We would say about service that it's got everything to do about how you show up, the consciousness with which you show up. So if the consciousness with which I show up is, I already think of you as less than, I've got the problem. I have to show up to serve an equal with a consciousness of oneness, and out of that comes the dignity. Another person in the article, Jake Wood, he's of the opinion that this trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder, is something that can be defeated, in his words. And he says, because you're less likely to be thinking about yourself and more likely to be thinking about the people you're helping when you're doing disaster relief work. That's the third key. First one, don't let go. The second one, treat everybody as an equal, serve from oneness. And the third one, focus out sometimes. Like Gandhi says, it's quoted in the booklet too. I lost it now. Right in this little booklet, Gandhi, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. See, we in New Thought, many of the practices that we teach and embrace, spiritual mind treatment, meditation, journaling, all of them focus in. And lest we become self-serving, we must also learn to focus out, to see ourselves out and about, and to meet it and love it and serve it. It's not only veterans who benefit from service, but the elderly too. There's a great study about the Washington University did it for the White House Conference on Aging, and it shows there are very clear connections between community service in the elderly and improved health, improved longevity, improved sense of purpose, reduced and so on, reduce depression. And there's this great study where they took two groups of people and taught them how to make baskets. And the one group of people, they were taught to make the baskets as an art project for their own enjoyment, to learn how to do something. And the other group were taught to make the baskets, but were told they were making it for other people, for homeless people. And then they compared the results in terms of engagement and pleasure. And the people who were doing the task for others had a dramatic increase in the amount of engagement, follow through, and pleasure derived from doing the exact same job. We like to help. Elders and veterans, you and me. There is something like powerful medicine in the message that goes like this: we still need you. We still want you. The story of the founder, about how he founded this organization, is amazing because he had a kind of an epiphany. He was visiting when he himself, I think he got wounded, and then he went to a naval hospital, and he was going around talking to the other severely wounded soldiers. And that's when he had the epiphany, because he noticed as he asked them the question, "What's next for you?" that a theme was emerging. And they were saying things like, I want to go back, I want to get back, I want to get re-engaged. And if they were too severely damaged, I want to go home, and I want to teach, and I want to contribute. And when that desire to re-engage and reconnect is thwarted, that's when the trouble begins. And so he created these opportunities, service opportunities, to allow people to reconnect to each other, to their sense of purpose, to their sense of worth, to their value, to their sense of belonging. We like to help. We can see, because in Teach for America and the Peace Corps, there are many more, by the thousands, of applications annually than there are actual opportunities to do anything. So let us reacquaint ourselves with that spirit of help that is America. Let me read to you from the article. I believe it's page 32. Imagine the impact a robust national service program like Service Corps' proposal to the Aspen Institute's Franklin Project would have on our nation of couch dwellers. If service is therapeutic, imagine the impact, especially on boys who are having more trouble than girls graduating from high school and college these days. If service can reconnect individuals to their communities, imagine the impact on our waning sense of civic engagement, our weirdly hollow democracy in which active citizenship has been displaced by marketing and political sloganeering. Would it be so bad if the rest of us became more attuned to the values and can-do spirit our veterans have brought home from the military? I grew up in a country where military service was mandatory. And I thought to myself, imagine if I grew up in a country where community service was mandatory. I'd go for that. But the truth of it, none of us would go for it because we don't like to be told what to do, right? Because we are nonconformists. We don't like to do it. We'll come to it on our own time. Especially if it's a spiritual practice. Service is a spiritual practice, and spiritual practices in general are something that you do more than you talk about doing. If you want to really get the benefit, you can think about it, but you got to do it. Service like giving and prayer and meditation and all of the other practices we talk about are best experienced by yourself. You have to be your own testing ground. Otherwise, you just then have to depend on the testimony of others. And it's a rumor. Oh, and in Sonoma County, There are so many opportunities to get involved. This county is rich in opportunities for volunteers. Here at our own center, if you go to the Savor table in that direction, you'll see there are all these little forms, and on them are the special projects, the various different jobs, the parking team, the small tasks, the big tasks. All of them are out there, places for you to slot in and serve. And you can, if you like, look, testimonials are inspiring. And so we collected some, and you can read them. They're right here in the spiritual resource book. Like, for example, here's one by Elizabeth Ward. When I extend my hand to serve at the center, whether it is pouring coffee or greeting new faces or answering questions, I'm filled with a pleasant doingness, thereby disengaging my frequent focus on my own challenges. Focus out and be free. How about this one? This is a good one too. Cave Oliver. She says, I find that when I volunteer for anything, it supports and expands my heart. I know what she means. Service connects me to other people. How about this one? This is a good one. Angelo. When people thank me for my service, I smile and express my appreciation for their kind words. And in my heart, I'm thinking all the while that it's I who should be thanking them. In terms of the benefit the center has made to my life, my savor is a small repayment. Now, she uses the word seva. Seva is a Sanskrit word from the Hindu tradition, and it means literally selfless service. And it's the idea that we're going to be focusing on for the rest of this month. The ancient idea of seva is this, that the thing itself, God, the creator, or the energy of creation, the mind, the genius, whatever it is that causes everything to be, the divine one, is everywhere present. So when I serve you, I might also think of that as serving the divine in you. And so seva is the invitation to take anything that I'm doing and think of it also as a devotional practice. And so thinking of it that way, the divine is everywhere, invites me to think about how I will show up. What preparation will I do? What will be running through my mind when I'm serving you? Especially if you are God in one of its most distressing forms. And how will I disengage from the act of service? So there's a whole section in here, and we're going to be going through it step by step this month. I want to read to you the prayer that is offered by one of our ministers as a way of preparing yourself and myself for doing a task, and also as a way of bringing our time of sharing to a close. So I invite you to breathe in and exhale, letting your eyes close. There is only one, whatever it is, one life. It's the life of God, the one power, the thing itself, showing up as one activity, the activity of divinity, expressing itself in and through all of us and all that is. At this very moment, I fully realize and completely accept that everything that I am and all that I do is this one divinity in expression. So I remind myself I'm an individualized expression of pure Holy Spirit. And my every thought and word and action is the place where divinity finds a new creative expression into this world by means of me. By means of me, Spirit is uplifting and healing every situation and every individual that I come in contact with. I remember this. And in this awareness, I take this time in prayer to redirect myself to serving divinity in all that I do. As I enter into this activity set before me, I set aside inside of me any concerns, fears, and doubts and allow myself to give all my love and all my attention to the task at hand. I refuse to let my mind wander. Instead, I focus my attention on the love and the service I am performing and on divinity, which is the power that is acting through me to accomplish this task at hand. I do this work as a spiritual practice, as an offering. I accept that this dedication in love I am offering by means of this work inspires and renews me as well as others. In this consciousness, I am offering myself. May my intent be pure. May I have the courage and discipline to maintain a clean and powerful focus throughout the completion of this task. May my heart be as wide as the sky. May I have the compassion and openness of mind to completely accept and honor the other people who are doing the work with me, along with me, and may the fruits of this work uplift and heal all those it contacts. May the grace of God awaken me and guide me. And so it is that I give thanks for the truth that I'm experiencing through these words of prayer as they reveal to me how I am to go forward. And I give thanks for this opportunity to serve, and I give thanks for my life and the unlimited joy and love that is divinity flowing through me and as me. And I invite you to breathe in with me and to exhale into a moment of quiet contemplation.